One of the most pervasive myths that you see in the internet sites on nutrition or blogs or any of this stuff, is especially on the bodybuilding sites, is telling you have these pseudo experts that are telling people to avoid fruit at all costs. Don't eat fruit. Why? Why is fruit bad? Well, the reasons they usually give are because fruit is loaded with fructose, fructose, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But in other words, supposedly fructose supposedly makes fructose, I believe, is the correct pronunciation. Supposedly it has an unusual proclivity to make you fat, and eating fruit will make you fat, and it's bad, and this and that. And let me tell you something. Anybody who gives you that type of information about fruit doesn't know their ass from their elbow about nutrition. Because first of all, let's look at fruit. What is fruit? Fruit is about 90% water. It basically consists of water, fiber, some vitamins and minerals, and that's about it, really. I mean, it has no fat, so it's not a dense source of calories. It doesn't have a lot of calories. I mean, average serving of fruit has something like 90, 100 calories or even less for certain fruits. But let's look at the idea that sugar is fattening because of the fructose content. Now, fructose, there's some truth to the idea that fructose could be hazardous to health, but it has to do with the amount. There's an old saying in pharmacology, only the dose determines the poison, and that's true with fruit. The fructose in fruit averages anywhere from about 6 to 8% fructose, which isn't a lot. You know, the average piece of fruit has maybe 6 to 8% fructose. That's not a lot of fructose. You'd have to eat literally pounds a day to overeat fructose. Another thing to consider is that research shows if you're active, fructose is not nearly as dangerous as it is for sedentary people. Sedentary people who are not active and eat a lot of fructose, it tends to stimulate the formation of triglycerides or fat in the liver. Excess fructose is readily converted into triglycerides in the liver. This could lead to a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver, which is a precursor for liver fibrosis, also known as cirrhosis, and liver cancer. But that's inactive people. In active people, fructose is basically like any other sugar. It's burned. It's utilized as energy. Now, fructose has a low glycemic index number. That means that it's slowly absorbed compared to other sugars. And the reason for that is that fructose undergoes different type of uptake mechanism compared to other sugars. It takes a longer time for fructose to be digested, let's say, and in some ways that's an advantage. But the point being, another thing to consider, I should add, is that the soluble fiber content in whole fruit basically neutralizes the bad effect of fructose. Let me explain what I mean by that. Fructose is most hazardous when it hits you all at once. In other words, free fructose, when you take in like pure fructose, that is not good. That's like kind of a refined sugar. In fact, if you look at a lot of processed foods, they contain an element called high fructose corn syrup. Now, high fructose corn syrup has almost the same chemical composition as sucrose, which is common table sugar. It's composed of the same two sugars. However, table sugar is a disaccharide in the sense that the sugars in table sugar are basically still bonded. In high fructose corn syrup, they're not bonded, they're free. So when you're taking a lot of high fructose corn syrup, it hits you like it's like I said, it's like taking a lot of free fructose. That is going to cause problems. That can cause insulin sensitivity, can cause a lot of problems. But this has nothing to do with whole fruit. I mean, this idea that fruit's going to make you fat, first of all, you have to chew fruit, and fruit tends to be filling. If you compare whole fruit to various processed carbs that don't have fiber, those carbs will hit you hard because they're high glycemic, meaning they're rapidly digested. Again, the fructose in fruit is more slowly digested, and you add to that the soluble content of fruit, then the fructose doesn't hit you hard at all unless you eat a couple of pounds of fruit, and most people don't do that. Drinking a sugar-laden soda is much more dangerous than eating almost any amount of fruit. Another advantage of fruit is that it contains other nutrients. It's a natural food. It contains several vitamins and minerals. A really good advantage of fruit is that most of them are high in the mineral potassium, which is very important. And a lot of people, I believe I read somewhere that something like 60-70% of Americans don't even eat the minimal recommended amount of potassium. That's very important because potassium opposes the effects of sodium in the body. Meaning if you overeat sodium and you get enough potassium, the sodium is not going to hurt you in most instances because the potassium will neutralize it. A lot of people don't know that. Potassium is important to keep your blood pressure lower, and potassium, studies show it helps to prevent stroke. Of course, vitamin C is a very good natural source. Fruit is a very good natural source of ascorbic acid, better known as vitamin C. And there's a category of fruits you might have heard of called superfruits. These consist of various, goji and all these other fruits. They have several unique nutritional attributes, which I can't get into here in this video, but I'm going to be writing about it in my Applied Metabolics newsletter. Very interesting stuff. And then you have some unique nutrients that are found in fruits. For example, apples contain a type of flavone that actually works just like drugs called GLP-1 agonists. In other words, without getting into too much technical detail, this element in apples actually helps you, handle sugar better. It's very good if you're having any kind of blood sugar problems, if you're insulin resistant or anything like that. This natural element found in the apple peel is very good for helping control blood sugar. And then strawberries have a nutrient called fisetin. Fisetin is a powerful antioxidant. To go into what fisetin does would take a whole separate video, but one unique aspect of fisetin is that it helps get rid of what they call senescent cells, also known as zombie cells. These are dead cells that have stopped replicating. They hang around the body, and they kind of gum up the works. They mess up healthy cells, and they're a prime cause of aging. So anything that gets rid of senescent cells is very good for you. Berries, which you can say are a type of fruit. Blueberries are tremendous food. It's actually one of my favorite all-time nutritious foods. There's a ton of research on blueberries. I'm going to, again, write it up in my Applied Metabolics because it's extensive. But one of the things blueberries does, it actually helps to protect your brain, and it kind of blunts the effects of aging on the brain. In animals, it actually reverts brain aging, where, in other words, it makes your brain younger. In animal studies, they've shown that. So, and you can't really get these nutrients in supplements. So, fruits have also been associated with a reduction in cardiovascular risk. The mechanism there is probably the soluble fiber content of fruit. There's two main kinds of dietary fiber. One is called insoluble, represented by stuff like, for example, legumes, wheat bran. These things are good to prevent constipation. It helps your, elimination factors, let's say. Soluble fiber, on the other hand, there's a number of other things. It kind of locks on to cholesterol and actually pulls cholesterol out of your body, which helps prevent cardiovascular disease. Soluble fiber is also very important for the health of the collective population of organisms that reside in the colon, known as the intestinal microbiome. They thrive on soluble fiber. And the intestinal microbiome controls hundreds of health reactions in the body, ranging from cardiovascular health to how efficiently you absorb nutrients like carbohydrates, fats, and protein. Helps to protect the brain. I can go on and on. But one review of studies showed that each daily portion of fruit reduced the risk of cardiovascular disease by 7%. Each portion of fruit. Also, fruit has been shown diabetes, type 2 diabetes, used to be called adult onset diabetes because it usually started about age 40. Because of the bad habits people have picked up over the years, such as no exercise, sitting around, watching Netflix or whatever, no activity, and also eating poorly, bad nutrition, a lot of processed foods and bad fat. Now diabetes showing up in people as young as 12 years old. A study that included 9,665 American adults found that a high fruit and vegetable intake was associated with a 46% lower risk of diabetes in females. Unfortunately, they didn't show any difference in males. Not sure why. Another 2013 study looked at how many different types of fruit affect the type 2 diabetes. The researchers found that people who consumed the most grapes, apples, and blueberries had the lowest risk, with blueberries, again, showing the strongest effect. Again, blueberries are unbelievably healthy. They really are. Increased fruit intake and lower blood pressure, probably because of the potassium content. Because of the antioxidant content, it reduces oxidative stress and improves blood sugar regulation in people with diabetes. And contrary to popular belief, and I wrote an article about this in Applied Metabolics about, the article was called, Does Fruit Make You Fat? Contrary to popular belief, eating fruit actually helps you reduce body weight. As I said earlier, fruit is not a calorie-dense food, meaning doesn't contain a lot of calories, doesn't contain a lot of fat, and it contains moderate amounts of carbohydrate, but most of the carbohydrate is in the form of fructose, which is slowly absorbed and doesn't cause a massive insulin release. For all those reasons, and also fruit, because of the fiber content, is filling. When you eat fruit, you'll eat less calories from other sources, and this causes you to lose weight. A small 2013 study showed that the subjects who ate raw fruit or vegetables before meals felt fuller and ate fewer calories. Drinking juice did not work, though. And that's something I want to point out. A lot of people, because of bad nonsense advertising, they have this idea that they don't have to eat whole fruit. They can get all the benefits of fruit by drinking fruit juice. Not true. Fruit juice is basically processed food. In other words, it has the juice. It doesn't have any of the fiber that's found in whole fruit. Fruit juice, I'm not saying it's terrible, but it should be kept to a minimal. Fruit juice, because of the lack of fiber, can cause a pretty good insulin release. Drinking a lot of fruit juice can promote obesity if you overdo it. So I would minimize fruit juice. Don't think you could substitute drinking fruit juice instead of eating whole fruit. And while I'm on the topic, don't think, they have these supplements, you see the ads, fruit and vegetable pills or fruit and vegetable powders. And they lead you to believe that taking a scoop of this stuff or 5 capsules or whatever the dose is will equal 5 or 10 servings of fruits and vegetables. Bullshit. That's a complete lie. That's absolute nonsense. It's not that these supplements are bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're bad. They usually don't have any processed sugar or fat. But they don't substitute for eating natural fruits and vegetables. If you're not going to eat fruits and vegetables, don't think you could substitute fruit supplements or these fruit and vegetable powders. They don't. They give you if you look at the actual content, a lot of them contain like 1 milligram of that. That's ridiculous. That's like eating a tiny slice of an apple. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're always expensive. They're usually very highly priced. They cost so much more than natural fruits and vegetables. It's just a waste of money. Just eat fruits and vegetables. Now, I don't have a big appetite myself for fruits and vegetables. What I do, and you might do this yourself if you don't have an appetite for those food, I blend a lot of for example, my protein drink, I have whey, isolated whey. I add a cup of strawberries and a cup of blueberries. That's how I get my strawberries and blueberries. I make another drink where I throw in, kale, broccoli, chard, spinach, and I put in a raw apple, and I mix that in a special type of blender. So I basically drink my fruits and vegetables, but I'm still getting my fruits and vegetables. They're whole fruits and vegetables, even though they're blended. The fiber's left in. That's a good reason for a good way to get your fruits and vegetables without having to eat the actual fruits and vegetables, in fruit form, basically. So the other thing that you might want to, the only time to, basically, I guess the only time you'd have to really limit fruit would be if you're on like a ketogenic or extremely low carbohydrate diet, because fruits do have a considerable amount of carbohydrate measured in grams. Like an apple or something might have 20 grams of carbohydrate. So if you have one apple on a ketogenic diet, you've already gotten your whole day's worth of carbohydrates. However, you can start to add fruit to a low carbohydrate diet after a couple of weeks. If you want to use a low carb diet or a ketogenic diet to lose body fat, which it's very effective at, after about 4 to 5 weeks, you can slowly add in fruit, 1 or 2 pieces or maybe a little more than that each day. And it won't hurt you a bit. It's not going to hurt you a bit. So what are some of the healthier fruits? Watermelon is a pretty good fruit because watermelon is actually the best natural source of the famous amino acid citrulline. Citrulline is an amino acid that when you ingest it orally in the kidneys, it's converted into arginine, and the arginine gets into the blood where it's converted into nitric oxide. Oral arginine, straight arginine, is only 60% orally absorbed because most of it is degraded in the gut by the enzyme arginase. So watermelon contains another important antioxidant nutrient called lycopene. So watermelon's a good fruit. Bananas are controversial because of the high starch, but here's a little tip for you. If you eat green bananas, if you can handle green bananas actually have a form of starch or carbohydrate called resistant starch, meaning they're less digestible. So when you eat a kind of a green banana, about, I'd say more than half of it is actually, it becomes like fiber. It's not digestible and passes right through you. So, and bananas, of course, are a fantastic source of potassium. Oranges are a pretty good fruit, high in vitamin C. I mentioned apples about this substance. I should point out that a lot of the really good protective nutrients in apples are in the peel. They're in the apple peel, not the actual fruit. The fruit contains the soluble fiber and a couple other vitamins, but if you really want the special nutrients in apples, you have to also eat the peel. Cantaloupe is a good source of vitamin A. A cup of cubed cantaloupe contains 30% of the daily requirement of vitamin A, so it's pretty good. So anyway, what else can I say? I think that's about it for fruit. The data on fruit, as I said, I wrote one article already in Applied Metabolics, which is available to current subscribers. It's in the online article archive. The title of the article, Does Fruit Make You Fat? I go into all the details about how some of the polyphenol compounds that exist naturally in fat actually help you burn fat. Contrary to popular belief, just the opposite of what most people believe, fruit contains elements that actually promote fat oxidation rather than make you fat. But again, just to reiterate, only the dose determines the poison. I'm not telling you that you should eat 5 pounds of fruit a day. There is something called hormesis, which is a principle where a little bit of something or a moderate amount of something is good, but once you get past that point, it starts to become bad or toxic. It applies to exercise, it applies to food, applies to almost everything in life, and it also applies to fruit. So you can have moderate amounts of fruit are healthy, they're not going to hurt you, they're very good for you, and the soluble fiber will feed your intestinal microbiome, which will maintain overall health. So I also plan to a future edition of my Applied Metabolics. I think I'm going to devote the whole issue to some new research on fruit that I found, which is very interesting. Way too detailed to get into in a video like this. I don't want to do like 4-hour videos. I would never look at a 4-hour video or a 4-hour podcast. And I wouldn't impose that on anybody. I don't know who would do that. I don't understand how people have, even if you listen to it in chunks, like some people say, well, you don't have to listen to the whole thing. You can listen to 15 minutes at a I don't even have time for that. Who the hell has time to listen to a 4-hour podcast, a 3-hour? I don't have time. I don't know who does, but that's another story. So, I might again have a full issue of Applied Metabolics devoted to the science of fruit, which is going to just blow your mind when I list some of the anti-aging effects that I couldn't discuss in this video, and the athletic benefits of fruit. You will be shocked. And also, if you want further information about nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research you can use today, there's nothing that's I get a kick. I got just a little editorial comment here. I get a kick. I go on YouTube and I see all these videos, and it has that clickbait title: "Aging is reversible," or "You can stop aging today," or "There's no reason to die. You can live forever." Anytime, let me give you a tip. Anytime you see a video with those kind of titles, don't waste your time watching it, because it will be a waste of time. They do not tell you how to live forever, because nobody's figured that out yet. But what you can do right now, there are certain aspects of nutrition, exercise, and other factors that can induce healthy aging. In other words, you can't stop the aging process, but you don't have to become decrepit. You don't have to lose your brain. You don't have to lose the ability to walk, to move, or lift, or anything like that. There's ways to do that, and this is what I talk about in Applied Metabolics. And by the way, in case you younger guys are thinking, well, who cares about that stuff? Well, I got news for you guys. If you're lucky to make it to 40, you will be caring about this stuff. Trust me, you will be caring about it when those joints start to hurt and all that stuff. I also talk about effective fat in Applied Metabolics. I also discuss effective fat loss techniques, ergogenic aids, hormonal therapy, women's health and fitness, supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't. I am not associated with any food supplement company, so I won't hesitate to tell you the truth. I mean, I think there's so much garbage and nonsense on the internet about various supplements, and the people that say this are either shills for supplement companies or they sell supplements themselves. They can't be trusted. They have ulterior motives. They have an axe to grind. I am not in that category. I am not associated with supplement companies. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm probably one of the last bastions of truth on the internet. You're not going to find this level of honesty on the internet that I give you in Applied Metabolics. It also contains my 60 years of experience, constant study, and empirical experience in the gym. All those years, I've learned a lot. I tell you what not to do, what to do, what works for most people. So, when you subscribe to Applied Metabolics, I'll send you an invitation to join my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, general medicine. I also have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics webpage, which is only for current subscribers only. I don't accept unsolicited questions from non-subscribers. I answer questions from subscribers because I appreciate their support of my work. It's kind of a bonus to having a subscription to Applied Metabolics. And of course, that precludes non-subscribers. I'm not going to answer your questions because my subscribers come first. However, if you want to, if you don't want to subscribe, you want to ask me questions, you're welcome to do a consult with me, but that's going to cost money. I'm not the world free answer man to answer everybody's questions, and nobody else I know does that either. So anyway, subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. Comes out at the first of every month. It's 30 to 50 pages every month, no ads, just solid evidence-based information that again includes my 6 decades of study and personal experience. So subscribe today, again, www.appliedmetabolics.com. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Take care.